similar to the whole story about connecting the dots, I was sitting there and they needed one more storyteller, so I figured I'll share my story about where I am now in my career. So it pretty much starts in high school. I'm this skinny kid, this really big catastrophic thinker. Psychiatrist term deemed me that later. And I was just thinking my whole life, like, I'd always had this fear that I'd be like 50, completely bald, like Mr. Burns, but without any money, dying alone. So because of that whole fear, I decided, the route to go was to be a lawyer. It's a safe bet. But I wasn't really that intelligent. So high school and university, I'd spend all my time in the library, just like working way, like a million times harder than anyone else, just to sort of, make up the difference in intelligence or IQ or whatever you call it. So through that, I'd be studying so hard. I'd be this guy turning this like huge mess. I'd have this huge beard in the library all the time. A lot of times people at university come up to me, they thought like I actually worked at the library. I was that guy. They're like, hey, you work in the library with the book? I'm like, nah, I'm just here a lot. So that happened for a bit. Eventually, I'm still doing this, but I still don't really know what I want to do with my life. I always have this like creative side of me. But I ignored that, I pushed that away, I don't talk to that guy, scared about the whole Mr. Burns thing. So then, what ends up happening is, I'm finishing my 4th year, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, I had pretty good marks, so I applied to Cambridge University in England, and somehow I get in. So I'm like, I guess I'll go, I don't know. So I go to this program, International Relations at Cambridge, and everyone there is brilliant, like, smartest people ever. Like, I don't understand what they're saying when they're talking to me because they're so smart and I don't really know what's going on. So I'm there and I'm like just trying to get by, doing the whole library thing again, trying, fighting, climb. This time it's a lot harder because to make up the IQ difference is a lot harder this time. So as I'm doing it, and I have this supervisor who I'm supposed to be writing this 100-page paper on the Arab-Israeli dispute in '66 or something, and I don't even know what the hell I'm writing, and I'm having this moment in the library where I'm supposed to show him one of my drafts, and it's, I don't know, like 6 in the morning, and I'm fucked, and then all of a sudden, this idea for a movie just pops into my head. So the idea for the movie, back to the title, The Receding Hairline, wait. So the whole movie is this guy. Now imagine your whole life, not your whole life, but you lose your hair, and like you're 28, you're 30, you lose your hair, you're like, okay, make a decision, I'm gonna get a wig. So you get a wig, you have the wig, everything's going fine, then you meet someone you actually connect with, you have a relationship with, but you don't tell her about the wig. So then, the whole idea is the receding hairline wig. It's this wig, so when you want to get off the wig, it moves you off the wig. So essentially, it's something when you're like 45, 50, like, I'm fucking done, I don't want my wife to know I'm a liar, sorry. So that was my idea. I'm like, this is a fucking brilliant thing, and I made it in this like really dark comedy about this guy who has this invention called the receding hairline wig. His name's Archibald Berry, and he's like presenting it to a room of people, and he wants to present this idea to them. So that was this whole little short script. So I wrote that instead. I'm like, this is gonna, like, my supervisor's gonna love this. Like, I think it's hilarious. So I write this whole script up, and then I go and he's like, let me see what you have. I'm like, well, here's this out. I tell him it. And he honestly looked at me like no one's looked at me like that before. Like I've lost my goddamn mind. And he's like, Ethan, maybe you should think of another profession. And it was actually, I'm like, yeah, maybe you're right. So after I somehow got the thesis done, I don't know how that happened, I came back and I'm like, okay, I gotta do something else. I gotta be more creative. So first thing I had to do is I shot The Emancipation Archer Archibald Berry about the receding hairline wig. And then after I shot it, I was sitting there and like, I don't know, I decided someone was like, you should get an advertisement. So I'm like, okay. So, I don't have a portfolio. Apparently for advertising, you're supposed to have like a book and a portfolio, and I didn't have one. But through a family friend and connection, I got this interview with this creative director, and he's like, what do you got? So I just gave him the script, and he was bald. So you don't know how it's gonna go. I have no idea how this is gonna go. But he looked at the script, and he like gave a smile, and he's like, I'll give you an internship. So I was doing the internship, and then I was still like, you had the same problem with my gut. I'm like, this just doesn't feel right anymore. Like it doesn't feel right. So I was reading something else, and then out of nowhere, I just got this idea with a buddy to make this documentary on Buster Douglas. He's the guy who knocked down Mike Tyson. So I pretty much lied to my bosses, which led to my dismissal. And we went and we shot this documentary on Buster Douglas. And we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We literally just went, got some cameras, like tried to figure it all out. So we shoot this documentary, and then after we shoot it, we're like, it was really bad, and we didn't really know what to do with it. So when something's really bad, the good trick is you just make it like a trailer, like 2 good minutes. So you made like a 2 good minute trailer from it, and then we started shopping it around, and we went to the Score, their sports network, and the guy actually liked the trailer a lot, but he was like, the thing is, I don't know if we want to do more of these similar, like, we'd have to do more than one. And like, I don't know, he's on the fence, so we told him, like, the story of us actually making the documentary, meeting Buster Douglas, he's insane, what happened to us, that could be the show, where it's me and my buddy and we just track down these athletes. He's like, yeah. We're like, what? He's like, yeah, do that. So we actually now have the show where we just track down retired athletes and we do crazy shit with them. So the last one we just did was Ben Johnson, who is, he's, you know, infamous for taking steroids and stuff. So the whole episode was like, can we get Ben Johnson to, like, back in a room with Carl Lewis? Because Carl Lewis has his gold medal and Ben Johnson thinks that Carl Lewis actually spiced his drink. He still sticks to that story. So the whole thing was like, can we get these guys in a room together? So that was going to be the episode. So we went with Ben Johnson to New Jersey. We agreed to confront Carl Lewis, who's now running for New Jersey State Senate. So we went on a road trip with them. This is actually an episode. So we actually go on a road trip, but the whole thing is like, Carl Lewis does a run in the neighborhood to garner support. So we're like, fuck, this is going to be awesome. We're honestly just going to get Ben to show up at the run. It's going to be like, surprise, surprise, and then have a chat. And what ended up happening was that the run actually was canceled. We get to New Jersey and we drove there and Ben flew. So me and my buddy are like, holy, Ben Johnson's flying here and we don't know where Carl Lewis is. So we went to around the area and we actually found out where Carl Lewis gets his coffee every morning at the 7-Eleven. So we're like, okay, so that's a new plan. Is that we're gonna stake out this 7-Eleven and we're gonna wait for Carl Lewis to show up. So we literally staked out this 7-Eleven with Ben Johnson for like 7-8 hours. And in that time, you gotta have some small banter. So he's like, Ethan, like, what do you do? What else have you done? Like, what other creative stuff have you done? So I told him about the receding hairline wig. And at that moment was when he looked at me, he's like, why did I come with these guys? And that's it. I'm not gonna ruin what happens because I want you to watch the episode when it airs, but that's my story and that's where I am today.